A lot of us have based our ideas of strength on what other people tell us or what we've learned. It's called conditioned thinking, relative thinking, thinking that's relative to other people. This suit makes me feel confident. Cost me $57. And it does make me feel more confident than my jeans would, you know? So I wear that. But it's not me, you know? It's just helping me try to expose me to you. But the truth of the matter is, we sort of get lost and we start to believe we are the iPod. We are the iPhone. How many people actually look when somebody pulls out an iPhone to see if it's the G4 or not? Not that many people, that's good. I do. I'm so bad. It's my Italian-American heritage. I can't afford a Maserati. If I could, I would have one. You know, but we very much grew up with that idea that that's what made a culture strong, is the ability to buy things and have things, you know, and my family loves their toys and stuff like that. Luckily, there was enough basic goodness at the heart of that I do think that loving each other trumped how much money we made. And I do think that most of us appreciate the relatives that didn't make the money. At least I hope so. But I'm the one. No, there's a bunch of us. Our teachers talk a lot, Sakyong Mipam talks a lot about unconditioned confidence. Confidence born of acceptance of ourselves in our naked state. Who we are without the clothing, without the accoutrement, without the friends. Whether or not we get past the velvet rope, who we are, depending on if we have 6 friends on Facebook, or we still only have that fake avatar face and didn't even ever put a picture up, and we don't care, or we don't even have a Facebook. We're still okay. Somewhere inside, touching that part of ourselves. We call it in our tradition basic goodness. Bodhicitta, the heart of the Buddha, the mind of the Buddha, the mind of wakefulness. That is universal in all beings, and that if you could come in contact with that and gain confidence in that part of the mind, the higher part of the mind, if you will, your higher power, if you will, if you could begin to come in contact with that, then you could navigate the storms of depression, navigate the storms of anxiety. You can actually cross the long nights and make it through, because there's something that draws you forward and something that you can fall back on that's not dependent on how good you look or how many friends you have, because all of those things will change in time and none of those things are ultimately reliable. But your own good heart, your own basic goodness, your own connection to the wealth of humanity is something that you can build upon. So if your motivation in life is to be successful, then you're at rough end when you're not successful. You have only yourself to blame, and it becomes a small world that way. But if your motivation in life is to actually discover who you are, to actually touch upon that part of yourself that has remained hidden for so long, and begin to uncover that and look at it, then even something like depression becomes a platform for self-awareness. Does that make sense? Has anybody had the experience of coming through a depressive situation and actually feeling like you understood things a little better? Or that you've touched some of yourself? Or that maybe you were a little less arrogant, if nothing else? You know? I don't think it's altogether a bad thing. I think we just think that we're supposed to be this vision of ourselves, and I don't even know if we could define it. It'd be like the earth saying, I hate the winter. You know, we're going to freeze. And then, you know, so then you have LA, where there's no winter. And people are just as miserable there as anywhere else, okay? So the truth of the matter is, wherever you go, there you are, or wherever you are, there you go. We're really down to our own mind and our own heart. If you think that a new location will help, yeah, it'll help for a few months. But then eventually the patterns will set in and the darkness will come back. If you think a new clothes will help, okay, maybe it'll help for a while. Makes you happy. Okay. A drink will help for a while. 6 drinks won't help anymore. 10 drinks. You might not be feeling your depression, but it'll be there and it'll come back. So the middle ground between not acting out and not repressing is actually embracing. And instead of holding the body in such a way that we think we're protecting ourselves, but all we're doing is holding in the tension, right? We think we're keeping it at bay, but in fact we're holding it in. We're embedding it. The idea is to open the body. Open the body. Find some firmness of body, but openness. And allow that mind of fearfulness to just be. We have a saying in our tradition, putting the mind of fearfulness in the cradle of loving kindness. Actually beginning to embrace the mind of fearfulness in a body that protects it, that opens it, that isn't trying to push it away. Do you see what I mean? Because a lot of times depression is really just a frightened child, I think. Does other people have that experience? And it's old stuff? And then it goes back to when we were little, and why do you want to yell at a frightened child? Why do you want to squeeze or beat a frightened child? Embrace and hold the child. Well, that's my recommendation, and that's the idea. Not to act out the depression to make it worse. Not to write a bunch of boring poetry and just drive your friends crazy. But actually to be quiet with it, and alone with it, and feel it, and be awake with it. If you could wake up in the depths of your depression, you can really wake up. And you really have something to share. And you will come out of that having been enriched for the journey. If you try to hold it back out of embarrassment, you will only, I think, make it worse and embed it further in the body. That's the irony, is the tension embeds it into us. And the openness, particularly with meditation, allows it to process itself. The last thing I want to say is the breath itself is the determinating factor here, determinant factor. It allows us to actually navigate that dark night. Just come back to the breathing. You feel constricted, come back to the breath, open the body. That feels overwhelming because then you're going to cry. Breathe into that and cry. There's nobody there. It's okay. You know? See yourself, meet your mind, and experience that part of ourselves. What is so embarrassing about crying? What is so embarrassing about things falling apart? What is so frightening about going into depression?